For cheap games and to support my channel, please visit the link in the description below to g2a.com. Hey, what's up, Slunts Joker here. Today I wanted to give my opinion on what the best controller is for the PC, and also why I think every PC gamer should at least own one controller. The controllers or gamepads we will be looking at today are the original gamepad for the Xbox 360, the newer Xbox One controller, as well as Sony's Dualshock 4 controller for the PS4. But first, let's ask the question, why should PC gamers own a controller? For starters, allow me to answer a question with a question by asking, what could be more PC than using devices meant for an entirely different platform, but using it on the PC instead? That is, after all, one of the biggest selling points about PC gaming, at least in my eyes. Just look at emulators, for example. It is shining proof that PC gamers are rebels and don't care about the silly constraints of the console world. You have something we want to use, and we are going to use it, with or without the assistance of big corporations telling us that we can. Beyond that justification, though, there are some genres that generally do play much better on a gamepad. And no, I'm not talking about that guy who just got his first gaming laptop after selling his console and insists on using his controller to rock out on some BF4. These are not the games or the type of people that I am targeting in this video. In my opinion, people playing first-person shooters on the PC with a gamepad should be ostracized by the community at large. First-person shooters are meant to be played with a mouse and keyboard. Full stop. So what games do benefit from a controller the most? Obviously, this is arguable, and at the end of the day, you should use whatever is most comfortable for you. But I think most people would probably agree that racing games, platformers, fighting games, and the odd action-adventure title like Assassin's Creed or the Batman games would benefit immensely from the use of a gamepad. I personally couldn't imagine sitting down to play something like Shovel Knight or Super Meat Boy on a mouse and keyboard. Hardcore PC gamers that haven't touched a console would probably disagree, but I personally can't get the level of precision I require on platformers with a keyboard that I can get with using a controller. In the same way a mouse and keyboard is a more precise implement for shooters, a controller is a more accurate device for platformers, at least in the eyes of this YouTuber. Now, I would also apply that same logic to racing games. I find it very difficult to drive in some games with a mouse and keyboard, but I can usually manage. However, for something like a competitive racer like Assetto Corsa or Project Cars, a controller is usually ideal for those that don't want to shell out a couple $100s for a premium racing wheel. Also, whipping out said racing wheel and attaching it to your desk isn't always practical or convenient. The last genre I want to touch on is fighting games. While not tremendously popular on the PC, there are some fighting games for you to play. Street Fighter, for example, and the most recent Mortal Kombat game had a stellar PC port. Both games take full advantage of using a controller, and I think it would be difficult to find anyone that actually plays these titles with a mouse and keyboard. But that's enough on why I think you should own a controller for the PC. Let's get into what the best controller is for your needs. Let's start by looking at the old standby, the Xbox 360 controller. One nice thing about the 360 controller is that you have the option of using a wired or wireless variant. However, for the wireless version, you will be required to purchase a receiver that you can get online for $10 to $20. The wired 360 controller is especially simple to set up. All you have to do is plug it into a vacant USB port and you're off and running. Most modern titles support the Xbox controller and even have convenient button prompts that match up with the controller. The 360 pad is also the cheapest of the three controllers we will look at today and likely the most accessible. Most people can probably find an extra 360 controller laying around, or you can get one from a sibling or a friend. Almost every gamer has a 360 pad lying around somewhere, which makes using it not only cheap but free. Given the accessibility of the 360 controller and low price of used controllers that you can get online or at your local game shop, the 360 controller is a no-brainer for most gamers. Next up is the Xbox One controller. Bearing very little discernible difference to the 360 gamepad in the way it plays, outside of the revamped triggers and bumpers, the Xbox One controller is also a great choice. If you don't already own a 360 controller and just have the urge to own the latest model, then the Xbox One controller is a great option. It hooks up just as easily as the 360 one. It's plug and play. Just make sure you buy the wired version, as the regular controller does not come with a cable to hook up to your PC. The last and final option I will be covering is the Dualshock 4 by Sony. The major benefit the Dualshock 4 has over either of the Microsoft gamepads is that it has what most people consider to be a vastly superior directional pad. This is ideal for fighting games, and if your sole purpose for hooking up a controller to the PC is to play games like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, then the DualShock 4 is going to be an easy choice for you. There is a slight downside to the PS4 controller though. It isn't as easy to hook up as either Microsoft controller. It will take a little tinkering to get working. You have to first download the Xbox controller drivers to your PC, and then get the DS4 tool so that your PC will be tricked into recognizing the DualShock 4 as a 360 controller. There are several easy guides on how to do this, and I'll include a link in the description below to one of them. However, once you get the DS4 tool set up, you will be off and running, so if you already have a PS4 controller or just want the feel of its superiority with the use of fighting games, then the option is there for you. So what is the best controller or gamepad for the PC? The answer is going to vary based on your needs, budget, and what is readily available to you. If you already have one of these controllers laying around, then the choice is simple. Just use that one. If you're going to be buying a new or used gamepad though, then you should consider what games you're going to be playing. The DualShock 4 is a better all-around controller since it's better at fighting games and doesn't really have any disadvantages compared to either Microsoft controller in games. Its only caveat though is that you have to set it up manually, but for most PC users, this shouldn't be an issue. I think the Xbox 360 controller is probably the best bet for a lot of people that either already own one or just want something simple that they can plug in every now and then for certain games. They are cheap and you can get them anywhere. Add to that the ease of setup, and the 360 controller is an easy choice for most people. If you, however, don't really care about budget and want the latest one, you could go Xbox One. The choice is yours. But that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the video or it helped you out at all, please stick a like on it below. And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing or help contribute ideas to future videos, you can always follow me on Facebook and Twitter at JokerSlunt. I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra!